With the season looking like it's over, I think it's time that I drop some of these season-ending videos a little bit sooner than a lot of y'all expected. What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Young Mustard, and today we are going to talk about the 5 biggest surprises of the NBA season. But before we get started with this video, do not forget to drop a like and a comment. I will be reading the comments of the day at the end of this, so make sure you stay tuned for that, and also hit that subscribe button and that bell to be notified after each and every single video that I post. We are on the road to 50,000 subscribers. Hopefully we will get there before the summer, and if not, we'll get there eventually. But without further ado, let's talk about the 5 biggest surprises of the NBA season.
We're still going to be able to run it back. We're the champions, and we're trying to defend our title. I'm confident with our team. So, Malika, you ready? 3, 2, 1, BS or real talk? Yeah, I'm with you. Go ahead.
The Toronto Raptors this year have been by far one of the biggest surprises that I have seen over the past couple of years. They literally lost their star player in Kawhi Leonard, and I gave them an L for the offseason simply due to that. But this year, they've already won 46 games before the season ended, and if we're being honest here, they were on pace to win nearly 60 games this year. That is insane when you consider the fact that they lost their best player, and their team's been relatively the same since last year. Efforts from players like Serge Ibaka, Marc Gasol, also Kyle Lowry. Obviously, their play has been a big factor towards the Toronto Raptors' success, but the #1 factor has to be the improvement of Pascal Siakam's play. This is a guy that on a night-to-night basis is giving you great production on both sides of the ball. It's giving you 24 points and 8 rebounds, as well as dishing 4 assists out while shooting 46% from the field and 36% from 3 and shooting 80% from the free throw line. I mean, he's doing it all for the Toronto Raptors, leading this team to a 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference, already clinching a playoff spot before the season even ended. It has been a very impressive year for Pascal Siakam. And not only have the contributions of the players been greatly appreciated towards the success of the Toronto Raptors, but also the coaching. Nick Nurse has done a fantastic job, because to lose your best player and still maintain your spot at the top of the Eastern Conference, it really takes a great coach to be able to make adjustments like that and pull that off. And Nick Nurse has definitely established himself as a great coach and a contender for the Coach of the Year. But coming in at number 4, we have Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies, exceeding everybody's expectations and actually being in playoff contention. And if the season is over right now, they are the 8th seed. Yes, they would be in the playoffs. Coming into this year, I did not think the Grizzlies would be a top 8 team in the Western Conference. It still sounds surreal to even say something like that. This team has far exceeded our expectations, and obviously the biggest proponent of that is the play of Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. Yes, do not forget Jaren Jackson Jr. He is one of the better young players in the NBA. In fact, he's even younger than Ja Morant. A lot of people forget that. And this year, he's shooting nearly 40% from behind the 3-point line on well over 6 attempts. And not only is his offensive game very valuable towards this team's success, especially considering the fact that he can space the floor at the 4, but his defensive efforts as well have been a huge boost towards this team, as he's one of the better defenders already in the league in his 2nd year. But of course, I cannot talk about the Memphis Grizzlies' success this year without mentioning the one and only Ja Morant. As you guys know, I predicted Ja Morant to actually win the Rookie of the Year and put up very similar numbers to that of Damian Lillard in his rookie season. And so far, he's done exactly that, as he's averaging around 18 points and 7 assists while shooting 49% from the field, 36 to 37% from 3, and 77% from the free throw line. And even though he's putting up numbers that I kind of expected him to put up, I gotta be honest with you guys, I did not expect him to have this much of an impact on winning this early in his career. Because it's one thing to be able to put up numbers when you're not winning, but to put up numbers in your rookie year and they're leading to wins in the Western Conference, that is a very difficult task. I mean, we see guys like Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins, Devin Booker, and right now even Trae Young, as much as I love him, putting up numbers that are not translating to to wins. Whether it's their fault or not, you guys get my drift. So to see Ja Morant to be able to do what he's already doing right now in the NBA in his rookie season, that is a huge positive for this team. And if I'm being honest, it's not just those two that have played well that have helped the Memphis Grizzlies achieve the success this season that they've already had. The efforts of Jay Crowder before he got traded were greatly appreciated. The efforts of players such as Jonas Valanciunas and Dylan Brooks have been greatly appreciated towards this team's success. And shout out to Brandon Clark, because he has been one of the sneaky good rookies this year that a lot of people are not paying much attention to, and he definitely deserves a bigger spotlight. Shout out to this Grizzlies team. They have definitely exceeded not only my expectations, but the expectations of everybody else as well. But coming in at number 3, we have just Luka Doncic himself. This guy has been on a tear from the beginning of the season. And what's crazy is, in the beginning of the season, I made a video saying if Luka Doncic could already win the MVP already. And a lot of people got on my ass and they said, yo, you're jumping to conclusions, he's gonna slow down a bit. Well, guess what? Luka has not slowed down. This season, he's averaging 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists, while shooting 46% from the field. He's a little streaky from 3, shooting around 32%, but when you consider a lot of his threes are contested step backs, yeah, that puts those numbers into a little bit more context. And he's also shooting 75% from the free throw line. And if you look at his true shooting percentage, he's shooting 58%, so he's still being relatively efficient, even though he's a little streaky from behind the three-point line. Defensively, he's not great or anything, but he has more than made up for it with his production on the offensive side of the ball. He has been sensational and is an MVP candidate already by year 2, something that a lot of people did not see coming, myself included. And I gotta be real, himself alone is a huge surprise. You cannot just put the Mavericks as a surprise, because a lot of people did have the Mavericks making the playoffs, and they are the 7th seed right now. And if I'm being honest with you guys, I just didn't see them making the playoffs like this, with Luka carrying them in a huge portion of the games this year. Because let's be honest here, Porzingis was kind of struggling in the beginning of the season. He caught his footing towards the end, but in the beginning, Luka had to do a little bit of carrying, and he carried them very well. He played so sensational in the beginning, kind of slowed down a little bit towards the tail end of the season, but a lot of that he kind of struggled with some injuries here or there with the ankle, and that might have actually shut down his momentum. So yeah, when it comes to Luka Doncic, he has been so good this year and is an MVP candidate by year 2, something that none of us saw coming. But moving on to the second topic that we have the Miami Heat, because I gotta be honest with you guys, coming into the season, I did not think the Heat would be this good. Sure, they are not a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference right now, but we all know that's a result of a lot of inconsistencies in the lineup, certain players getting injured, and if I'm being real, they're still in contention to win the Eastern Conference. They may not be the favorites, but they are still in legit contention. And if you had told me that coming into the season that's what they'd be, I would have thought you were smoking some crack, because I saw this team being a bottom team in the Eastern Conference. I thought the Jimmy Butler trade was kind of dumb, especially giving him a max contract. I still don't think he's a max contract player, but he has played really well for them. May even make an All-NBA team. I don't see it happening, but he is in contention for that 3rd All-NBA team. He has played very well, an all-star caliber player. The efforts of Kendrick Nunn have been very, very surprising. He has stepped up to the plate as an undrafted rookie, one of the better rookies this year. Also efforts from Goran Dragic, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero. They have been huge for this team, and I gotta give them props and love because they deserve it. They have far exceeded all of my expectations. But the number 1 surprise this year, it isn't even the Miami Heat. It is the Oklahoma City Thunder. This team, a lot of people are forgetting that coming into the year, people didn't even think they would make the playoffs. But right now, they are the 5th seed in the West. Yes, the 5th seed. A team that a lot of people did not even think would make the postseason is the 5th seed. Better record than teams like the Rockets, the Mavericks, the Pelicans, the Trailblazers. And if you had told me all of that coming into the year, bro, I would have thought you were really on some cocaine. And this team, the efforts from everybody have been amazing, whether it's Steven Adams with the hustle or Gallinari, who remains a consistent bucket year after year on great efficiency, or you can look at Dennis Schroeder, who I have been very critical of on this channel because of his lackluster three-point shooting and his bad defense, but he has improved in both areas, especially when it comes to his three-point shooting. and he has put himself in contention for the 6th Man of the Year, and I gotta be honest with you, he may have my vote, and obviously the two main factors being Chris Paul and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Chris Paul showing everybody that he still has it, being selected for an All-Star appearance, even at this late stage in his career, giving you great production on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, and then you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who looks like one of the more promising young players in the NBA. That floater damn near looks unguardable right now, and I gotta be honest, I gotta give props to Billy Donovan, because I have been so critical of Billy Donovan to the point that I have damn near petitioned the Oklahoma City Thunder to fire this man. But I am a man that will admit when I am wrong, and I have been wrong about Billy Donovan, because I don't know, I gotta be honest, maybe it's a Russell Westbrook thing, but Russell Westbrook didn't look like he respected the orders of Billy Donovan if Billy Donovan were giving him any orders to slow down his game, and maybe that caused a lot of disrespect that a lot of players showed him, and they just didn't buy in. But this year, it looks like all of the players are buying in. Nobody is taking bad shots. They are buying into his philosophy of consistent ball movement and effort on both sides of the ball. I gotta give him a boatload of credit for the success that the Oklahoma City Thunder have received this year. But that concludes this video, and before we end it, I am going to shout out the top 3 comments. Yes, it is time for the comments of the day. If you want to have your comment read on my next video, make sure you drop a comment down below, and I will make sure I get to the top 3 comments, and maybe your comment is going to be among them. But shout out to the first comment of Marcus Robinson Johnson. He said, "I love that you mentioned Shawn Marion. Had fun watching him in Phoenix, but the Mavericks don't win in 2011 without him. I hope Cuban retires his number one day too." Well, I'll tell you this, Mark Cuban's probably not going to retire his number, but he was definitely a huge factor towards their win in the 2011 finals, especially when it came to guarding LeBron James. But moving on to the next comment, we have a comment from, I'm sorry if I mispronounced this, but Pakorani Niraganyo, I'm sorry, y'all please forgive me down below in the comment section if it's you, but he said, "LOL, this guy has a thing against T-Mac." I got nothing against T-Mac. He was one of my favorite players to watch growing up, especially during his time with the Rockets, because for those who don't know, I do live in Houston, so I do see a lot of those games. But I gotta be real, he is praised far too much because people love to embellish in his moments, such as the 13 and 30 seconds, or when he went up 3-1 against the Pistons. A lot of people embellish and stuff like that, and they forget the fact that he's never even made it out of the first round of the playoffs, and they'll put him in the Hall of Fame before guys that have actually won stuff of significance, such as Chauncey Billups or Ben Wallace. That's my only real gripe with Tracy McGrady. But moving on to the next comment and the last one, we have a guy named Half Man Half Amazing, and he said, "This is not a coincidence that all of these 5 players are also one of the more underrated players at their positions of all time, especially Weber, Marion, and Chauncey Billups." And to that, I definitely agree. Players like Chauncey Billups, Chris Weber, Shawn Marion, those guys are very underrated and one of the more underrated players at their position, arguably the most underrated players at their position. So you can definitely make that argument, and I agree with it. But that does conclude this video, you guys. If you want to have your comment read, drop a comment down below, and the top 3 comments will be read in my next video. My next video will be the top 5 surprises of the 2020 NBA season, so make sure you stay tuned for that. This is your boy Young Mustard signing out. Drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and add me on Snapchat. Y'all have a great day. I'm out. Peace.